Thanks for tuning into a very special episode of Loser Kid Pinball Podcast. We're on episode 162. I am your captain, Josh Roop. With me, my co-captains today,
Cary Hardy
and Scott Larson.
And Scott, tell us about our sponsor before we get into this amazing episode.
The sponsor is Flippin' Out Pinball. As always, if you are looking for all those new, used mods, upgrades, shaker motors, whatever you need, go ahead and contact Zach and Nicole Mini at Flippin' Out Pinball. They can definitely hook you up and get almost all things for you. The only exception is what we're talking about today. So I'm going to throw that back to Josh.
Yes, if you want to get in on this game and you want the Loser Kid discount that we've worked out with Jerry right now, email us at loserkidpinballpodcast@gmail.com for this amazing Portal pinball machine. And with us today, we've got 3 of the development team with us. I'm going to let them introduce themselves because they have had a wide array of different roles they've played in this, and I think they say it best. So I'm going to kick over to Steven first. Why don't you go for it?
Hi, guys. I'm Steven Silver. I'm the co-creative director on this game.
I'm Michael Ocean. I'm also creative director on this game and software.
And I'm Ian Harrower, the 3rd creative director on this game, co-creative director on this game, and I'm focusing on software.
And if you guys are tuning in just right now, you saw the release of Portal and you're clamoring for more, right? Like you are just ready to feast on this, and it looks amazing. Guys, you've destroyed everyone else in the competition right now with this game because it is amazing. Not 1, but 2 aerial shots. You've got new mechs on the lower play field. You've got portals launching balls. You've got 2 companion cubes. I mean, okay, first off, where did this concept even come from? Who decided we're doing Portal?
Well, we're all love the property, and we've been into it for a long time. I think it was somewhere around we were in the middle of, both of us were in the middle of, Michael, you were working on Final Resistance, and I was working on The Princess Bride. And Bo and Karen's helped us get in contact with some people at Valve, and Jerry worked out the deal with them. And so we found out in the middle of those projects that we were going to do Portal next, and we just couldn't wait because just what a great franchise, what a great thing. And it's perfect for the P3 with what we can do with transporting balls from here to there and all this stuff like that. So we couldn't wait to get our hands on it.
Now, for the people who aren't familiar, I actually had not been familiar with this game because I'm an old fart. But go ahead and tell me about Portal. Tell me about the game and tell me how this integrates into pinball.
So Portal is a puzzle game. There's been Portal 1 and Portal 2. And you basically go through and you have to place portals in different rooms and solve puzzles by traversing them and using them to get you through these test chambers and things like that. There's an entire world around it built in the Aperture Science universe, and it's got such great lore and everything along those lines. And we feel like we've created something new in that universe that's really interesting, but is still true to everything that makes Portal great.
Yeah, chances are if you really enjoy a puzzle-based video game that sort of tells its story as you play it in a very subtle way, or you enjoy really dark humor in a video game, all these things probably are because of Portal existing, right? And so it really did it first in the most impactful way. My kid has played any number of games, PC games and things, where it's just like, oh, it's so cool. You learn the story as you go around. Portal did it a long time ago. I'm not excited by that video game. Portal already did that. Portal is timeless. Portal 1, Portal 2, you could pick them up and play them today. You should if you've never played it. And they are amazing games that just first present as a story, or a storyless sort of, I got to solve this puzzle, this first person puzzle. And the more you dig in, the further you get. I remember the first time you sort of cross the threshold and you realize there's something more to this game than you first realize. And look, I've been working on this pinball machine with these guys for a while, and even still, like the hairs on my arm go up talking about that first moment where you realize, wait, there is something more to this game. It's not just what it seems. Why pinball? Yeah. Why the P3? Right. So when you enter these environments in the game, you sort of walk into this very sterile, clean chamber in Portal 1, and you sort of see what it is, and then the chambers reconfigure. right? They move and they dynamically change and all this crazy stuff happens, just so when you think you're starting to wrap your head around it, then panels are moving and the thing reconfigures. And the P3 is able to show you these dynamic environments on the screen. And then also we have some incredible mechs that reconfigure in real time, so you actually can kind of get that experience when you're playing this pinball game. I think we've done at this point, people have seen the videos, people have checked it out. It's got to be on the P3. Nobody else can do it.
One of my favorite things about the P3 is our ability to get into storytelling right underneath your eyes, change the environments that you're in based on the mode you're playing. And so we wanted, when you're going into test chambers, you're going to experience something different with each test chamber. We wanted to, be able to make a really incredibly immersive game. And because of the basic design of the P3, we can portal balls anywhere, right? We have the infinity ball trough in the back where we can basically send a ball out anywhere that we want. And so it just is a no-brainer for the P3 platform, and it's just a perfect fit.
So I have a question for Josh and Cary. Since you are big fans of this game, what are you looking forward to in playing this game and getting this game?
Well, like it's already been stated, this is one of those themes that when I got into it, I just fell in love with it. And like Portal 1 was one of those games that launched with the orange box back in 2007. It was one of those hidden gems that just basically started getting attention, and eventually they decided to make a sequel, which was, even surmountably better than the first one, because that's when you start getting more story and lore and personality in Glados. And I think that's the nature of why I love it so much, is that there's a lot of mystery, but I also love puzzles. It's really fun to incorporate that aspect into a pinball machine, although I'm still curious of how these guys are going to do that with it being a puzzle related game and then a pinball machine. So when I first heard that they were doing it, I'm like, I see where it would work well on the P3 system, like it was originally stated, with the fact that they can put balls and go anywhere with it. But I was still like, how are they going to do the puzzle aspect of it? I'm kind of curious of how that's implemented, and I'm sure we'll dive into it here in a little bit. But yeah, with how the game changes from scene to scene, I think that this platform is definitely going to be able to make this theme shine with the screen on the display and everything. That's going to be interesting on that. But that's I think with all the different moving portions of the game too, with the multiple companion cubes, the multiple shots, and something that they haven't done yet either on a P3 multimorphic system is that we're going to have shots in the lower 2/3 of a game. I think that's really going to be a highlight for a lot of people out there, because that's been a common complaint with people that have these systems. It's like, well, they're all in the back of the playfield. Now, due to I'm assuming due to feedback, they're trying to satiate that portion of the industry by telling, like, hey, we can still do that. We can give you the shots in the lower 2/3. So I really like that aspect of it also, and the fact that those ramps also move up and out of the way. So I like just a lot of the movement that I'm seeing, a lot of mechanical features.
So, Cary, I just want to jump in and correct one thing that you said that Josh said at the beginning as well. And you both said there are multiple companion cubes on this table.
Oh,
But
it's
in
the
reality,
portal. It's
there's
going
one
through.
companion cube that portals from one side of the playfield to the other.
Yes. Okay. It's moving in between the portals. Yes, you are correct. I'm looking at the pictures. That's all I got to go on.
I mean, it's actually, from a design perspective, it is one of the reasons, in addition to the companion cube being iconic and like one of the symbols of the Portal franchise, we chose to go with the companion cube to emphasize the fact that it is the same cube, because within the game, well, okay, let's ignore Portal 2 when Glados starts spawning as many as she wants. But within the game, there's one companion cube, and it's important that there's one companion cube.
Well, and it just, yeah, it just, I like that there's the core in here too. Mark Silk's doing the voice for the core, right?
Yes. Yeah, Mark is amazing. And I really think people are going to fall in love with this core. Like, it's got so much personality and everything. So I really I can't wait for you guys to get in there and really get to know this core.
Yeah, I'm excited too because Wheatley is a big part of Portal 2 from start to finish. How is Mark Silk's core integrated into the game?
We looked at the possibilities of working with Wheatley, but Wheatley had a complete story, right, in Portal 2. And we knew we absolutely need to have GLaDOS in the game. And so we've got GLaDOS, but GLaDOS can't be that person to cheer you on. It can't be that person to give you encouragement, to tell you where to go. Her purpose is to abuse you and to be mean to you. And so we needed somebody that was a champion for the player, your guide, your friend. And so we thought, well, in this Portal universe, there's already been there's always been a precedent that they have multiple personality cores. And so we're like, we've got an opportunity here to create something new in our world that will fit in here and give us the ability to create that friendly guide that you have helping you out. So we created Reggie, the team building core. And so Reggie is his purpose there. He's just over the head. He can't wait to build teams, and he's ready to go and build that teamwork with you. And he's cheering you on as you're going through and guiding you through both the hub mode and the objectives and the chess chambers. And I really think people are going to fall in love with Reggie because he's got so much personality in this character.
And I just wanted to add on to what you're saying right there, Stephen. You said that, we knew we had to have GLaDOS. I'm kind of curious in the whole brainstorming and the infancy of this project. I mean, what are some of the things that you guys said, we have to have this? We have to have this. What are some of those things?
There's a spreadsheet.
Yeah, we got a spreadsheet.
Nice.
We were ranking things. Yeah. We knew we had to have GLaDOS. We were basically going through and trying to find the features in Portal 1 and Portal 2 that we thought would work in pinball and that we can do. We knew we wanted to have some sort of a momentum jump, something where you build up, speedy thing goes in, speedy thing comes out, and you can do the jump. So we've incorporated the momentum jump. That's a lateral jump across the playfield, and you've got multiple landing areas you can go to. And we wanted to have the faith plate too. And early on, we were like, we're not sure if we can do this. Like, let's see if we can do it. But we've got TJ Weaver, who's our mechanical engineer. I happen to believe that he's one of the best mechanical engineers in pinball. He always turns out amazing ideas, and so we just set him on it, and he's turned out some really incredible mechs with those two things. In addition to that, we knew we needed to have. You can't have a Portal game without portaling around and changing the configuration of the playfield and getting from one place to another and using that to solve a problem, solve puzzles. And so we made sure we had portable shots that could basically lead anywhere we wanted to go. And so, is there anything I'm missing that was on our must-have list, guys?
Absolutely, turrets.
Yeah.
Yeah, we knew we wanted a core, even though we weren't sure who he was going to be yet. We knew we definitely wanted to have companion cube. We wanted to have radios. We wanted to have all the good puzzle elements, right? We wanted the thermal discouragement beam. We wanted high energy pellets. We wanted we wanted it all. And I think we've tried to stuff as much as physically possible into this machine. But the aerial tricks are really impressive, right? You throw a ball once, one direction. You should say that's good enough, but not us. We've got two different launch points, two different directions, multiple landing zones for the throws. There is a glowing pit in the center of the play field that you can fall in the drink. You can wind up in the acid. It's all possible. So,
and one of the other things that you didn't mention was Ratman. We wanted Ratman, and we wanted Ratman's den within this game because, just like Michael said at the beginning, there's that moment in Portal 1 when you realize there's more to this game and more to this world,
yes,
than you knew up to that point. And for me, that's it's like one of my top moments in video game. Like it's historic, it's game changing, and I think it's influenced so many people. And so we needed that presence in the game.
When you walk behind that panel that's open, you see all the red scratches on the walls, and you're like, hold on, there's something more to this story. What's something going on here, kind of thing. Yeah.
Oh, even the end of Portal 1, where you're kind of getting led as a lamb to the slaughter, and all across the walls, the cake is a lie. It's perfect. So I agree. It looks awesome. My question is, Ian, this is kind of your first licensed theme with. I don't know if you've had a full development team behind you on this before. I know you've had multiple games on the P3, but how has it been different working on Portal and utilizing all these amazing personalities that are in pinball?
I mean, there's so much that is way easier and so much better quality working with an amazingly talented group of people, and we all complement each other's skills. Like, both of my games were solo developments that I did myself. I did graphics, I did audio design, I did programming. I licensed assets to help me fill gaps, but I was trying to see what can I do, build up my skill set, and learned things about how to develop in Unity, how to fit all of these pieces together. And I was just doing it for fun. I didn't go out and knock on Jerry's door and say, please give me a job. He's like, hey, Ian, will you sign an NDA and let me talk to you and convince you to do this game? And he's like, I'll tell you the theme once you've signed it, and you can say no. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, I don't know if you've heard of this or if you have any. And it's like, yeah, no, I've heard of this. And I was really excited. And anyways, getting back to your question, I'm going to now compliment my teammates a lot, and they may get uncomfortable in that, but Michael has brought in a ton of amazing framework that he's built up through Weird Al and Final Resistance that I wish I had had when I developed my own games, that has made things really smooth and go amazingly well, and throwing ideas off of him and having someone else to just speak out loud to about the engineering challenges. Pinball is hard. Software for pinball is hard. It's complicated. It's a real-time system with a lot of events going on. There's a lot of things that can go wrong, and we're doing some of the most advanced stuff we can do here. Stephen and Rory with their graphics work is amazing and nothing I could ever do. And it's been really cool to actually interact with Rory Cernuda, who's the technical artist, I think is what his title is. He's doing amazing work within Unity, but it's really cool to talk to someone with an animation background, learn a lot of tricks, a lot of new stuff that I didn't know about Unity, and actually have someone to throw technical ideas off of. And that was huge and really fun. And Steven has amazing visual ideas. And when we were designing the rooms, for all of the test chambers, I would go off and prototype, okay, this is what I want. I'm going to make these pieces fit, the pieces we need to get this done. And then Steven would come in and he'd be like, okay, let's move the camera here. Let's move this wall here. Let's move this over here. Let's create these views. And we turn this sterile grid into these beautiful environments. And it's been really cool, and something that I just couldn't experience developing my own. And throw Scott and Brad on top of that as well. And it really is a dream team of people coming together.
And when you say Scott and Brad, you mean Scott Denisi, who is on sound, and Brad Albright, who did artwork, which both amazing, hands down amazing.
And Brad designed the topper. He designed the sculpt, did the playfield art for Hub, as well as all of the decal work and all of the cabinet art.
So one thing I want to talk about with this is that when you're doing a procedural game, you typically go through and you learn a little bit, and then you learn more, just like any sort of game. And then the puzzles get more complex as you move on. Now, here's the question. How do you avoid the mundanity of doing the same puzzle over and over again when you go to a pinball machine? Because you can't have the same sort of progression. And how do you incorporate that into modes? Are there main modes you have to do? Are there advanced modes and wizard mode? How do you have the rule set aligned?
Yeah, so we set out with the idea that we would have two distinct areas that you take apart in the game. There's what we call the hub. It's sort of themed and named because of the Portal 2 experience of having this hub where you meet with your other player before you go on, and we like that name, so we called it the hub. And we wanted to design the hub to be a fun experience, a fun pinball experience where even if all you did was spend the entire game in the hub, you would have a good time. The hub is where you play multi-ball. The hub is where you play these objectives, which we call them. And objectives, they're not really modes, but if you actually look at them, they're as complex as a lot of modes in pinball. But we wanted hub to be this experience where everything's stacked, where everything can happen at the same time. There's 8 objectives, and if you can complete all 8 objectives, they'll start a hurry up. If you can stack all 8 hurry ups on top of them and cash out that 8-way hurry up, this is like this big, massive event. You've got your turret multi-ball, you've got a faithplate multi-ball, you've got edgeless safety cube multi-ball. So you've got all of this you can do in hub. And we think that if people just experience that, they'd have a great time. But as we're doing these objectives are starting to teach you elements about the game. So things like the hidden panel, which is used across the hard light bridge. You'll learn that as one of the objectives in the hub. And when you need to use that later on in one of the test chambers, you don't have to have completed it, but it will sort of teach you and educate you. Now, to get to your question about like, are puzzles boring the second time you play them? It's actually one of the really hard challenges in designing this game. We wanted to lean in to the puzzles, but we really wanted to lean into the puzzles in a light way. We didn't want the puzzles to be an aha moment, because if it's an aha moment, then you only get that once, and then it's just going through the rope motions. The high energy pellet is probably our best example of like our most complex puzzle mechanic right now. And this mode is set up in such a way that there is a high energy pellet, which is a energy ball which will bounce off of walls. And there's a series of 5 panels which you have to figure out how to turn those panels into the correct position so that the pellet will complete its course to the catcher and open the exit. And this isn't a hard puzzle if you were to solve it on a piece of paper, but it becomes a hard puzzle when you've got to control a pinball and hit shots and not undo the work that you've done. And there's some tricks in there as well to kind of throw you off and possibly make you backtrack. And I think I hope we've managed to build something that people they'll appreciate the puzzle aspects that are there, but not just find it frustrating to go through, and they'll still have fun.
Because if you think about it, right, pinball, especially Multimorphic, we have this tendency. A lot of games do this, right? We want to tell stories, right? We want, especially for this game, right? We want these games to tell these really deep, interesting narrative stories, but they're gated by your pinball ability, right? And so if a player is not so great, they're not going to get to experience all of it. And so there's already this additional challenge of how do you tell this narrative story gated by pinball, and now we're also going to add a puzzle on it. Well, we don't want to your point, right? We don't want it to be the case that you don't want to experience it a second time because you've already figured out the trick. But then also, how hard is it to manage both a puzzle and pinball? And so, yeah, they're maybe puzzle light. I think as a pinball player who loves Portal, playing the game, you feel the same experiences of, I solved this, I figured this out, without it being, as you don't have the time, you don't have the bandwidth to sort of sit there and try to figure out some complex thing. There's a live ball, right? And so you've got to, and so it's a trade-off. But I think we've got something that really works here.
In regards to story, is this going to be will playing Portal 1 and Portal 2 help you understand this pinball machine better, or are you going to have your own story? And I'm kind of curious about the details on that and what you can tell us right now. And also, the second part of the question is, can this game be beaten?
Yes. So if you have played Portal 1 and Portal 2, I think you will have a deep appreciation for the deep cuts we have in this game, because this is, as somebody recently said, a love letter to the license. Like, I think that will increase your appreciation. And so if this is your first experience into the Portal universe, I highly recommend you go through and you pick up Portal 1 and Portal 2 on Steam or wherever and go play them, because you're going to enjoy the whole franchise. But this is its own story. We could have gone and just made a reference box to Portal 2, but that's not that necessarily interesting. Interesting to us at least. And so we wanted to go through and we wanted to make a new storyline. And the whole idea is that the premise basically is that this is a portable testing unit that is shipped out on location. It's looking for test subjects. And so you come up and you are the test subject in here. You get introduced to Reggie. Reggie's your guide, and you're working your way through this. And yes, this will be a game you can beat at the end.
I was joking with Cary. I got on the phone with him, and since we know Portal, we know Valve and stuff like that. I was joking, since if this is like your own story for Portal, you should nickname this Portal 3, because Valve has a terrible time at ending it 2. Half-Life 2, Portal 2, Left 4 Dead 2. And so it's like you could be breaking that cycle with this machine.
It
All right,
is
that's
true.
a little too nerdy.
It's true that this is Portal for the P3. This is there's a 3 near the word portal. So
one question I had, so I did hear Ellen, the voice of GLaDOS, Ellen McLean. She actually is the voice of GLaDOS in this game as well. Is Cave Johnson involved at all? Were you able to put him there?
we don't have Cave Johnson. I mean, and to be clear, there's no Aperture Science without Cave Johnson. But this is a different story, and it's sort of the sort of thing that if you don't know all of the lore of Portal 2, you might not even appreciate it at all. And then it's a lot of story to fill in to try to explain who this character is. And we have this opportunity to maybe, to tell a different story, to tell a story that's sort of more focused to pinball, right? Because we're trying to find the right balance for the player, right? It's the same thing was said before, in which you need a positive voice in an atmosphere where there's a lot of challenge. And so Reggie provides this positive voice and provides this sort of, I don't know, this avatar, if you will, into this world where you can sort of get the right relationship to the characters and the universe. We're very fortunate to have access to GLaDOS in this game. We think that's what people really want to have.
Well, it's like Back to the Future without the DeLorean. It's a King Kong without his Empire State Building. You can't have Portal without GLaDOS. And so and like you said, Cave Johnson's almost more of a deep cut. It's one of those things as you develop deeper. But in reality, in Portal 1 and a good chunk of Portal 2, he's not really there because it's more of a side story that you're learning about when you dig deeper. And where you guys are creating your own story, that's fantastic. I mean, GLaDOS is perfect. So
yeah, and we all love Cave Johnson. We're all big fans. But what's interesting about Portal is you've got these characters in there that you never see. Like you play most of Portal with never seeing GLaDOS until later in the game, and with Cave Johnson, you only see him through pictures and stuff like that. And so there's disembodied voices throughout there, and we're like, well, we've got Reggie. Reggie's your guide, and GLaDOS is there, always constantly talking to you, and tearing you down, doing her GLaDOS thing throughout the entire game and everything. And we figured that's probably enough for, especially for new players that won't know if there's all of a sudden this third voice that's coming in there that's a disembodied voice. You have limited amount of time for storytelling in pinball. You can't. Probably one of the worst things you can do is force people into linear gameplay in pinball machines, and we're always careful about that. Even back when we were making Heist, it basically said you need to do a Heist style game, but you can't force people into linear gameplay. You've got to be able to go and do things in any order that you want. And so that's just one of those things that that I don't think is the right fit for this game at the end of the day. Especially this is a portable testing unit. It's not you're not at Aperture Science, you're in the portable testing unit. So
now
That
Go
was
ahead, Cary.
I'm sorry. Like, we're on GLaDOS right now, so I was like, that was one of the main things talking to Jerry whenever I found out about the game. I was like, do you have GLaDOS? Like, you've got to have her, and especially if she's doing the call outs. And I was curious about like how many call outs, but you just pretty much said it right there that she's going to be talking to you the entire time. Because for those that don't know, is like, you pretty much defeat her in part one, and then part two, she comes back and she is bitter, and in the call outs that she has towards you are mean, and it's hilarious at the same time. And I want that mean bitterness. If I'd lose my game or drain, I want her to say, it says it right here in your file, you are a horrible person, stuff like that. It's just like that. I really hope to hear that. That's going to be great.
We didn't even test for that, and look, it came up on the test.
Now,
Somehow you've been in sleep all these years, and somehow you still gained weight.
hey, I could do that. Okay, so we talked about this a little earlier, that there are two versions of the game. And, so there's a basic version. So why don't you explain to me how that works, and explain how the different things can be, purchased versus what is the difference between the step up or versus the basic?
Yeah, so the basic game, this is our most advanced P3 module to date. If you've been a fan of Weird Al and Princess Bride and Heist and all these other modules, this we threw everything at this module. So you're gonna have a ton of stuff to do on this module. So we have the standard edition, where if you get it, it's just like any other P3. It's the fast module swaps and everything else. You pull it out, you pop it back in. But we also have a P3 Plus version, which involves the module extender, which brings those mechanical features further down the playfield. And it's a pretty simple swap. Pull off your in lanes and then pop it down on the machine, screw it in, and plug in some connectors, and you're good to go. And if you buy the P3 Plus version and you want to have it's a different challenge based on it. Let's say you have somebody that doesn't like shots close to the playfield or is struggles with them. You can pull it out and you play the standard version as well. So we think there's a lot of compelling features in the P3 Plus version that with the lower playfield mechanisms, a lot of really cool ideas are in that. But both versions will have the complete game, have the entire experience. We'll handle things differently on the standard edition version. We've got one art package. The art package is absolutely stunning. Brad Albright. First of all, he's one of the best people in pinball. If you go find him at a pinball show, go find his booth, check out his 3D art, his woodcuts, everything. He's an amazing talent. But this art package looks incredible. And it's got unique sides on either side, and there's a lot of Easter eggs all throughout the art and everything. And then we've also got an optional topper that you can buy if you want to add the topper onto your machine. So those are the basically the two different versions.
But yeah, the gameplay, when you actually play the game, we're not holding anything back, whether or not you have the lower segment. You get an additional ramp, you get a really cool kickback shot, you get a physical spinner, you get the physical hard light bridge feature. You get a lot with it. You get targets that are up close. It definitely changes the geometry, but we wanted to make sure that the players still got the same gameplay experience, the same core software experience, regardless of whether or not they had it. So that's it's definitely the case that it's not a requirement, but it's hard. We think people want it. We think people want it.
It's a compelling upgrade. I really do think, there's you can go spend a couple thousand on a topper somewhere or something like that, but this is something that will enhance the gameplay, and it really does enhance the machine. We think it's compelling for everybody, but also, like I said, if you own it and you just want to do a quick swap, you don't want to do the full swap, you can pop it out, you can pop in the module and play module only if you want when you've got it. So we think it's a really cool thing, and we've been working on one thing you guys said early on is that this was based entirely on feedback from customers. If you guys if anybody's familiar with the P3, we did a video way back like 2014 or so that showed like swapping out lower playfield modules. This has been something that's been on our mind for a long time. And we've been making inroads through the various games that we've done. With Heist, we brought in the crane that that comes out and does the widest variety of short shots in pinball, where you can bash that crane all over the playfield. You can knock a ball off the crane. You can the crane will fling balls at you. We also brought in we replaced the side target module with a flipper with a hidden shot underneath it for heist, and then with Weird Al we brought in the left module. So this has been something that's been coming for a long time. We just were always trying to make sure, however we did it, was still compatible with all of our existing customers and for easy playfield swaps and things like that. Weird Al has the crossing wireform across the ramp. So we've been doing a bunch of stuff over time, making those improvements for them. And every improvement we've done to the system, we almost always make that available to all of our customers, even the ones that bought back on day one. And just think like, what where else does that ever happen? Like, if you bought a car and then you want this year's new features, what do you got to do? You got to buy this year's car in order to get it. And we've made a ton of upgrades to the core P3 system over all those years and made them all available for people who bought into the system originally. So we think this is a really compelling upgrade. We think everybody's going to want it, but it's optional. If you want to just if you want to dip your toe into the Portal universe and try it with the standard edition, we have that available too.
Does having these lower features speed up the game? Because that is one thing about the P3, with everything being the far, the back third. The game in the middle can be a little floaty, but this kind of narrows the play with the spinner on the left side, with the chute there, with the ramp on the right side. It brings the action a little more far forward, so you have to react a little quicker. And then, not only that, if someone can answer that, and then the other question I have too is, what's the purpose of the ramp on the right side lifting up off of the screen?
So I can talk a little bit about this. I think that the close features, the stand-up targets are very close. The ramp is very close. A lot of the, yes, on the P3, a lot of the features typically are very far back, but if you actually look at drawings or overlay the playfield, they're not actually much further back than typical pinball machines. There's an optical illusion that happens with scoops and walls and the horizontal lines that tricks you into thinking the playfield module is much further back. Not getting into that too much, but like this ramp is actually really, really close to the flippers, much closer than a lot of games. And those targets are very close, and they're very dangerous. This is a challenging game. I think it's a fun game. I think people will enjoy it, but they do add a lot of risk having those there. The lifting of the ramp was really important for the design of the playfield, because of the right ramp down at the lower part of the playfield. If you look at how most games that have close ramps deal with it, if you look, that takes away a lot of your shots, and they tend to just hide something behind it like a pop bumper nest, and you just lose access to that. And then to compensate for that, you typically have to use an upper flipper to give you access to things that are behind and hidden by the shot. So by having that ramp be able to lift, we are then able throughout the gameplay to give access to the shots that are behind there. Our extended captive ball, there's stand-up targets back there. You can hit the center ramp even with the ramp down from the left flipper, but it gives you access to the backhand as well. So I think it gives dynamic gameplay by having the ramp be able to lift, and allows us more flexibility in what we can design.
There's also a system with the ramps that we can put them in two different states. So as you shoot a ramp, it will lift up, and then you shoot another one, and one will drop, and another one will lift up. And when they do that, that changes. Like the left and the center ramp will become portals when they lift up underneath them. So as you're going around and you're reconfiguring the room, you are making decisions of, okay, I want to configure it this way in order to make it happen. But then we've also got this Aperture Science automatic auto retracting stair system that we've got in there, that if you hit a switch, then we switch them to all hold. So when something raises, it raises and it stays up. And so you can get both ramps raised up, and now you've got a portal loop where you can loop back, a fast loop back and forth between the two flippers. So that's one of those really cool strategy things that are in the game, to where you can go through and you can say, oh, you know what, I need to put these in the other configuration so I can go and make what I'm trying to do work, especially when you're trying to go set up some of those big multi-objective hurry ups, and you've really got to think about, this is one of the puzzle aspects that I think won't ever get old, because there's no correct way to do it. Like, you're going to go through and you're going to be like, oh shoot, my hurry up's counting down, I need to go and set this other one up real quick to stack it onto this stack and do these things. And so having that system really adds some interesting gameplay strategy to it.
I just want to add one more thing about the P3 Plus extension kit, or I'm still getting used to the naming here, which it may not be obvious, and like we take it for granted, but I don't know if people will realize it right away. Is we still have full ball tracking across the entire screen. We added these targets, we added a ramp, we added a spinner, and we still have complete grid tracking of the ball across the entire screen. Which is really cool from an engineering perspective and really cool from a gameplay perspective.
Okay, so I'm walking up to this game. I'm at a show. You guys are standing there. Put my hands on the flippers. Tell me what to do.
There are inserts on the playfield. They're final resistance style. Oh, by the way, I'm going to double back to that floaty. You got to spend more time on final resistance, and I think
that is true.
That game is not floaty. That game is it puts me in my place on a regular basis. But right, so we decided, pretty early on, we wanted physical. We wanted to represent physical inserts in the environment of this game, right? So you're looking at a port. You're looking at the hub, and it is decorated with virtual physical inserts, sort of like Final Resistance, very like Final Resistance. And so if you don't even know what to do, you're just going to shoot flashing shots, and you're going to shoot some flashing shots, and things are going to change, and you're going to start to learn what those things do. Now, Reggie is going to be there, and Reggie's going to talk you through this if you can hear him. Depending on who's standing next to you, somebody else is going to try to talk you through it, or you can experience the game. But you can shoot ramps, and as Stephen was saying, the ramps will go up and the chamber will reconfigure. If you expose yourself to that double portal, you'll shoot one side, the ball will fly right back at you, almost too fast to sort of process, because that's how portals work, right? Throw a ball in fast, the ball comes out fast. You can complete any object. You can hit stand-up targets. You can hit the captive ball. You complete an objective, and now that faith plate in the center is lit, and you shoot that faith plate, and the ball goes flying through the air to the back of the machine. And if you've already moved the cube through the portal, then that's a physical ball lock, and now you are throwing balls across the machine to land on that grating over the pit to lock them. I would probably coach you to start a multi-ball. I would probably coach you to start turret multi-ball, so you can, Reggie goes away, turns around, and there's a little turret who's exposed, who starts lighting up and shooting at you, and you start turret multi-ball, and then it's fun chaos on the play field where we have lots of turrets who are locking in on your jackpot value, and you have to knock them all out and then collect your jackpot before they completely destroy your jackpot value. And you can still complete objectives and do other stuff like stacked multi-balls and do that stuff too. If at any point you want to try test chamber, you can call the elevator, you can head down to the elevator and you can start that. But I don't know. I think the hub is a lot of fun. I would tell you to hang out in the hub for a while before you hit a chamber personally. But I'm sure the other guys would have different answers. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd probably encourage portaling. I think it's one of it's both the name of the game and a really cool feature. So I would say focus on probably the left ramp because it's slightly more accessible than the center ramp, and try to hit it to raise it and then hit it again to portal a ball up to the loft. And then in the loft, you can try to hit the companion cube and push it over, and that will light your locks. But I think that experience of having the ball instantaneously leave one place and show up in the other is something people have to experience. Like that is Portal, and that is something that is pretty uniquely P3.
Yeah, and these can be instantaneous moves. It's really magic when you're watching it happen. And what I'd say is, if I was sitting next to you coaching you, I'd be like, I want you to go back up to that upper playfield. I want you to try to do the momentum jump. I want you to see this happen. I want you to fly across the playfield. See if you can do the full momentum jump, which requires you to build up speed before you hit that hole. So hit a loop once before you go. Hit a loop once or twice to get your speed up before you hit that hole, and then you can go all the way across to the catwalk on the side, or you can go to the lower landing zone down there with a regular speed portal. Or if you get in there and just kill all your momentum, you might portal into the drink. So, but it's that's one of those magic pinball moments that I think people really appreciate.
Out of curiosity, the loft on the images right here, it looks like it's spelled as it's an acronym for something. So what is it an acronym for?
It's the Library of Failed Tests. There's a you go up there and you see all the there. Then Brad's got a little artwork in there of everything that like all the failed testing sheets from all the past people who have all the past test subjects who have come up short.
I gotta know because there's this lane on the left with the spinner and whatnot,
Mhm.
and it's kind of positioned where the upper flipper is. Is there any concern of like I don't know, you can't really utilize the upper flipper unless if it's out of the way. But I did notice above that you have almost that whole wall shifts out too, and it's really cool in the video that it like shoots across. Is it able to shoot across over to the other catwalk, or are we shooting down at the targets below?
So there's polycarbonate across the entire playfield on that second level. And when you go up to when you shoot the portal, the first time you shoot it, will pop up a little tutorial that says, "Get ready, it's coming down. Get ready to do your hard light bridge." And as it's rolling down, you got to time your flip, and it's actually a brilliant mechanism. It's tied to the upper flipper. That upper flipper on the left side is not activated except whenever you're going to do this hard light bridge when it's on the second level, and you flip it. The goal is to flip it at the right time and have it cross all the way across to the other side of the playfield, across that second level to the other end lane, and come down, and you've crossed the hard light bridge at that point. So it's really awesome when you pull it off.
I literally just realized and noticed that there is a whole nother upper layer. I
Same
see
here.
now. I didn't even notice that. That's why I was like, I don't understand what that's gonna do because I can't really see it. I guess I didn't see it on the video either, but yeah, that's nifty.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
lot.
and
That's
so
a
it's traversing the entire playfield. Also, if a balls when we're ejecting balls occasionally, that we'll pull out that panel, so it will cut across and it'll come down to your lower right flipper instead of coming to the end lane. So it's pretty cool. And if you miss it, if you biff the shot or whatnot, then it's wild, and it's wild on this second layer where wherever it comes down and falls down to the lower playfield, you've got to work to catch it and everything. But it's a really cool trick.
It's a really cool trick because I'm watching the video right now, and just like Cary, I'm like, oh, there is something up. It's magic. Like I was like, how the heck are they pulling this off? Because it's just, yeah, it looks like you've created a light bridge across the playfield, and the ball's just zipping across the other side.
Yeah, you don't
Yep.
want to fall off that light bridge. It's not safe.
One of the other questions, coming from the perspective of a person like Scott that's never played Portal and whatnot, how are you trying to market this or show to the casual player that this is worth the dive into this world?
We're hoping that the pictures and the video really do a lot to show people like the depth of this game and everything you can do. I feel like the game speaks for itself whenever you get up there and you see like all the shot paths and all the mechanical cool stuff. If you're a fan of pinball, this is pinball. Like this is real pinball. It does some just amazing pinball tricks and pinball moments, and I think that's the main hook. And you get these magical aha movements that you see, like, oh wait, I love a diverting shot. I love anytime I have a shot and it goes to multiple places at once. But we have shots that can go anywhere, right? Like we can literally send a ball in real time. We've got lit portals all over this playfield, and so you're looking for the linked pairs, and you're like, okay, if I shoot this, it's going to come out over here, and planning and figuring out how you're going to work through this world. And I think it's something that will get its hooks in you, and you'll just people will be excited about it.
One concern I can see too is when you have aerial shots,
Mm-hmm.
them not shooting consistently, and like you said, you've not only got one with the aerial faceplate, but two with shooting out the portal the other side. How have you guys tuned this in, and is how accurate is it? Like, are we 95%? Are we 50%? What are we here?
It's
So
super.
it's pretty good. It's really good. Like you go through there, we've got the now if you've got a really slow shot on the faceplate, you might get something that doesn't that goes up. It doesn't hit on the sweet spot of it. But that's part of it. Like you need to, and if you're going to hit lock the ball, you need to go up there. But it's really, really consistent now. It's one of those things we were actively worried about in the beginning to make sure that this was going to work. And then when we saw it finally get dialed in, it just works. And especially the momentum jump is that thing is dead on. It's really awesome to see it going. It's always a moment when it flies across and it lands and comes over on the other side. So, and I'm really looking forward to the day. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I'm going to be playing my game at my house, and I'm going to somehow I'm going to see if I can't. I've talked to Jared; he might make it to where it can't happen. But I really want those. I want to faith plate at the same time that one's coming out and have those two balls smack into each other at that time. It'll be awesome if I can pull that off. So that's my life.
Once I have my production playfield, I'm writing the code. I can do
You're
it.
doing it? Yeah, there you go.
Oh yeah,
I don't know if
talked
anyone
about
else
this
is
a
going to
lot.
be allowed to run it, but
Yeah.
and it wasn't by magic, it's by hard work, right? We've seen multiple Whitewood revisions where TJ has been refining this to get it dialed in nice, to get the mech working perfectly, to make that faceplate happen, and then to sort of park the balls nicely when they get to the other side and not deflect off. There were a lot of logistical challenges that he brilliantly overcame to make this super cool faceplate mech. We just rail the ball up the center and then it flings forward, and then, right, I mean, by all accounts, that ball should then ricochet off that back wall and come flying back at you. But that's not how it's designed. It's designed to eat the impact and park it down nicely, which is how it works in the game, right? You fly through the air in Portal and you hit a wall, you don't go deflecting off. It's a sort of strange, you crumple, right? That's you. That impact is you, but the ball had to do it. So no, it's super reliable, and from a person who's sitting around writing code, very easy to do because TJ makes it happen.
And if something happens and there is a misset, these guys are two of the most brilliant people I know. They've got software compensation in there too, right? So if anything happens, it's like, okay, well, I still got my lock.
Oh yeah, if you're supposed to get a lock, we can make sure you get your lock. But that's we want you to see it fly through the air and land where it's supposed to land, right?
Yeah.
I think we've mentioned like all the really main features of the game except for one, unless I've missed it. But have we spoken about the sculpted? Is that Reggie with the turret that is on the rear side of it? I'm curious about what all this particular device does. I mean, how is it integrated into the game?
Yeah, so that's a beautiful mechanical sculpt from Brad, and it is a personality core, right? And he's got his own. He's running animations that he can react to you and to what's happening in the game, and so he can look around. He can look at the action. He can move around. He'll react to what you're doing in the game. So as he's talking to you, you can also get some feedback from him. And then it just so happens that when he turns around, that's when turrets show up. So he doesn't have a turret on his back. You're mistaken. There just happens to be a turret who shows up when he looks away. But yeah, and so it gives us the ability to have two pretty lively mechs in the same place.
The turret has integrated lighting for both the laser, the red laser in the center, and the gun muzzle flashes that we can utilize in the game.
So like different cores will, like the Reggie, have like a different color iris and stuff like that. Will it? Okay, yeah.
So he's got a cyan iris, and and it's got a whole lot of personality to it. Like when that it's just like when you watch Wheatley doing so much expression, you think about this character that has no face, no eyebrows, but it emotes so well. Like, and we've got a lot of that in this with the screen on the front, where the eyeball that we can go through and play all these loops and things like that will go along with it's like Rudy in Funhouse talking to you and coaching you only the entire time, but interacting with you the entire time in the game. And I really do think people are going to fall in love with Reggie. It's such a great character,
especially with Mark, but behind the voice of it. I've set in with Mark as he's doing voice work, and I know he's got the range for it. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall in the recording process if you guys were there to direct him on any of it. because I know that he can just start ad-libbing and just doing his own thing, but I'm definitely curious to hear all the call-outs that he's going to be doing for this.
Yeah, Mark is just the best. He's such a talented guy, and he's so much fun. And we've got a ton of callouts in this game. There's a ton of callouts in this game, and he's really brought this character to life. And I just, like I said, I can't wait for you guys to get in there and once Michael forgives me for unleashing all these files on him.
Oh,
Well, like
it
you
was
said
great.
too, as a core, it's hard. You're an eyeball. You've got to bring character and personality. There's a part that's always sticks out in my mind when you first kind of get Wheatley after he's like, I need you to catch me because I could die when I dismount. And he falls to the ground. He's like, you didn't catch me. And you go to stick him in this machine and you stick him in there. He's like, I can't do this with you. Watch me. This is a robot. This is a robot eye. And you're like, whatever. So you stare at him. He's like, no, seriously, turn around. I cannot do this while you're watching. So it's lines like that bring the personality to a lifeless robot eye. And I can't wait to see how Mark has taken Reggie's character and turned it into something special.
Yeah, we wrote all these jokes and all this dialogue, and it's just like, is this gonna work? I mean, we think this is really funny, but then you start listening to these recordings from Mark, and you're like, oh my gosh, this really works. And then you get them into the game, and you're like, yeah, this really works. And we were very fortunate to get some feedback from Valve where they were like, yeah, this captures the spirit of the universe. Like we get what's going on here. And I was like, I'm going to frame that and put that on my wall. Like, I don't know what more I could want. I've had Weird Al. Weird Al said nice things about me. Now Valve has said I've captured the spirit of the universe. I'm done. That's it. This is, I'm done. What else am I going to do?
Forget a Twippy. You just frame that on your wall and be like, this is my crowning achievement.
Yeah. I would take one of those too, but no one's offering them, so that's fine.
I don't know, you guys. This game looks insane. I know we're at the beginning of the year and blah 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 blah, but seriously, this game has to be the best. I mean, I haven't got hands on it yet, so I can't confirm. But that's the thing. Like, there are certain games you look at it first look and you know something special under that glass, right? You look at it and something catches your eye and says, "Hey, you've got to play this game. There's something special about it." And I can tell from these pictures in this video that people are going to want to play this game and they're going to want to keep coming back for more and more and more. And knowing your guys' track record with Princess Bride, with Final Resistance, with Weird Al, the software and the code and the rules are amazing. You have consultants like Colin McAlpine helping you out and telling you and giving you pointers and stuff like that. I mean, you guys have really made a special product here. And I hope the rest of the community in the industry sees that as well.
One thing I do want to bring up that is different with P3 is the ability to include animation onto the main screen. So tell me about how you've integrated the animation and the immersion into the gameplay. And tell me about the level of complexity, because a lot of pinball machines, when you look at the playfield, it's a static playfield, but you have a dynamic playfield. So what are the challenges of integrating a dynamic playfield into the gameplay?
There's a lot going on here, and I honestly believe this is the most sophisticated graphics package ever in a pinball machine. I don't think anything competes with what we're doing computationally from a graphics perspective. I think Hub, we really, and Michael brought this up earlier, like, we wanted Hub to present like a decorated piece of wood, to hit that pinball feel that people want. It's got inserts that will be very familiar to you. It's got beautiful art on it, and it communicates things well. And it creates this, like, what people want as a World Under Glass experience. And this is the most World Under Glass game I have ever seen, in how it presents a room. Like, it doesn't present a bunch of things around the playfield. It's like, this is a almost to scale room that you are playing in. And that's really cool. But then we also wanted to bring that reconfiguration and dynamic elements to this hub mode. And when you do things like hit the right ramp, and I like, it's so cool. You hit the right ramp, and instead of just turning off the inserts because the inserts don't apply because the ramp moved out of the way, all of a sudden the floor drops out, lowers the inserts, and these arms reconfigure tiles with no inserts on them to block it. So it's like your whole playfield just reconfigured in front of your eyes. When you hit the turret hurry up start, the center playfield accordions open and its ball comes up, and then this turret turns around and starts shooting at it. And it's like these dynamic elements are not something you can do on a decorated piece of wood. But I think we still managed to maintain that feel of what people expect from a pinball machine within the hub mode.
Yeah, like on the right hand side, when you hit the side targets, the valves on the gel pump and the gel pipe turn and open up, and it starts filling up more and more with the repulsion gel, and then once you open them all up, it will splash repulsion gel up on the right hand side, and that's when that kickback's on. So if you come up the right ramp or the center ramp and you come down there, it's going to hit the bouncy gel and go bouncing right back out around the orbit back at you. And it's just really cool, like all these things. That this is the benefit of having a dynamic display as our playfield, that we can do a lot of these things. And I just, every time I see it, when Ian first showed the prototype and worked up the inserts dropping into the floor and the panels folding up and doing it, I was just like, that's magic. That's the greatest thing I've ever seen. And so we've got little monitors that come up for your hurry ups for different aspects of the game. The whole room just reconfigures in front of you, and it's really cool. And then when you go into the chambers, then we can present the chambers in the way that chamber needs to be presented to the player. And so we've got some that are like travel modes, where you're basically going and working your way through the mode like you would in a portal chamber. And then you've got some that are just that are presented more like a static room, where you're basically reconfiguring the room to fit, like in Discouragement Beam, where you hit the spinner and it spins the laser around the room, destroying stuff. And when that laser goes and it hits your slingshot or your flippers, then those slingshots become disabled for a second, flippers become no hold for a second until it passes by, and then it comes on there. So it can actually interact with the physical elements that we have there too. So there's just a whole lot of really, really fun stuff. I love how we're able to use the graphics to immerse you more into the world of the screen.
I think that we really wanted to we kept hub traditional, and we kept the test chambers really different. We really wanted to push what we could do, what people had experienced before within the test chambers. The two first-person modes, which Stephen called travel modes, which are actually captures from Source Engine. They are levels that I created in the Portal 2 authoring tool to create the experience that you go through within the pinball game, and present a first-person perspective on that screen is just wild, and something that I hope people appreciate. But it's also isolated to 2 chambers out of our 6, in case you don't like it, because it's different. And then the other two rooms, we've got amazing real-time lighting. As your panels move, you see the shadows react and adapt. The high energy pellet has a light source on it that illuminates the floor around it as it bounces across these panels in the room. And we're doing really cool things, I think really cool things, from a graphics perspective and a visual perspective that really no one has ever done before in a pinball machine.
And we get to do it with real assets, right? That's the thing. This isn't like a facsimile of, oh, this is mostly what these things look like in the Portal universe. No, we have got the assets from the game in our levels. That's why they look right. They are right, and so it's a great way to decorate the universe and have it really feel like Portal when it's really Portal.
So with the assets, you've got the visual assets. I mean, how far along with audio wise, like sound effects of the turret, sound effects of when you hit a portal or launch a portal, and with audio assets, do you have the song Still Alive?
Yes. Yes, we have
Yes.
we have the good stuff. Um,
The good stuff. I love that.
yeah, it's very hard to not get immediately excited and say, no, this is going to be my new ringtone. No, this is going to be my ringtone. No, none of these are going to be my ringtone. But you're right. And then being able to collaborate with Scott again, Scott Denisi, to, have him work his magic to make tracks from these tracks that are like appropriate for pinball, that really have the right, that have the right feeling, but are grounded and built from the bones of the Portal music. Super cool. But yeah, we have all the real stuff. It's pretty rad.
I'm excited for this for the fact that I feel like Portal is different than what has been done in pinball before, not only conceptually and gameplay wise, but it is a theme that I don't feel like you can find in any other company. And I hope this brings in fresh eyes. It brings in people going, what is this? What is pinball? And they look at this and they go, I need to be a part of this because this is something special.
I mean, we've heard people play The Princess Bride having not seen the movie and then checked out the movie and were like, oh, this is really good. And so, Portal is more than one movie, right? Portal is a whole universe where you can go down a rabbit hole, and there's a lot of VR experiences. There's a whole bunch of really cool stuff out there, and that it's a fun journey for people who haven't gone through the Portal. They should check it out.
So speaking of Portal, on the playfield on the right side below your core, there is a captive ball with a portal behind it. Does this is this stationary, or does it, because it looks like the aerial faith plate loops back around into that area? Like, how does this work?
So that's a portal. You hit the captive ball and it goes through the portal, and it could go anywhere. During our basic gameplay loop, it miraculously appears in your back box, goes up, comes back down, and reloads itself. But where that is the edge of safety cube, which is held there, and after a certain number of trips, you will actually hit that edge of safety cube. It will pop out onto your playfield in a excursion beam, and if you hit the appropriate target and turn off the excursion beam, the edgeless safety cube will escape into ESC multi-ball, and you'll start a 2-ball multi-ball. So it's actually a really cool, like, it is a captive ball that can go anywhere. It's a captive ball that isn't really captive, that can escape at any time. During multi-balls, that captive ball will portal up to the loft, and you can play in the upper playfield. And if you complete a moat jump during that multi-ball, that ball will come into play. So you've now brought your captive ball into play as an add-a ball. So
that's awesome.
Portals free us up to do amazing things and magical things. And the engineering of how you do this is really neat and really cool, and we'll keep that magical for now. But if you're familiar with other P3 games that do clever things with ball placement, taking balls and adding balls, you can probably start to figure out how we did some of these tricks, but the magic is there.
Yeah, but they're not locked in paths, to your question, right? We're just like, oh, it's a portal. We mean we can take it off the playfield and we can put it anywhere else we want it to, right? Like, it's any portal you see, we're using as a portal. And so if in one mode you get used to the way the linkages worked, we're going to relink those portals in a chamber in a different way. And as Ian said in Hub, right, that captive ball gets linked to a lot of different places throughout the course of just Hub. So, and that add a ball is stacked on every multi-ball. So if you want to head on up to the loft during any multi-ball and try to add another ball in, try to add another ball in, try to add another ball in, we want to see how many you can stack. So.
Well, we are getting a little close to the end of the episode, and we want to give you guys the opportunity for final thoughts, areas that you want to focus on that we didn't ask you about, or something that you really want to bring up. Go ahead.
I want to say how awesome it's been to work with Ian and how awesome it's been to work with Brad. I've worked with Steven before. It's awesome to work with him. Worked with Jerry before. It's awesome to work with him. We're used to working with those people. He used to work with Scott Denisi. It's awesome to work with him. But Ian has brought so many cool, good ideas. It's been great to work with him. I think his tournament expertise has really been super, super valuable as we've talked about rules. And you think you have a great idea, and he tells you, Doodlebug. That's from Doodlebug. What year is Doodlebug from, Ian?
Oh, you put me on the spot there.
Oh well,
I
at
don't
any
know.
rate, we can't have good ideas because it's all been done in pinball before. So that's what he's really helped us push ourselves to the limit to find truly new ideas. And Brad's artwork and just he's just a cool guy in general, and he's participated in so many meetings. And I think that our love for the Portal universe is on display, and unlike so many passion projects that we have in the world, this one we actually get to share with other people, and people get to like see and experience and have in their homes. Like you get passionate about something, but then you're just like, oh well, this is just for me. Like this is out there for anybody, and we're super fortunate to be able to do this. It's awesome.
I want to say that Michael's just okay. Just
Hey, that's the nicest thing anyone has said about me all year. So thank you.
And if anyone is wondering whether the placement and start of High Energy Pellet is inspired by Doodlebug, the fact that Michael could name Doodlebug in this conversation might give you a hint as to the answer to that question.
That Doodlebug podcast is going to be so excited that old game has gotten so much talk recently. They're going to have 2 more listeners after this. So, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, but I just want to shout out the whole team. I want to tell everybody has done an amazing job, and I mean, we really do. We've been extremely lucky to have put together these people at this company and we've been lucky with the properties and stuff we've gotten to work on. Everybody's been super passionate about all the projects we've gotten to work on, and so this is my pitch for the P3 in general. Let's say you've been curious about it for a long time, and you're looking at Portal and you're like, oh, this might be the thing that comes across. You buy Portal and you instantly have access to Portal and 23 other games that you can have in the space of one machine in your house. I work for the company, of course I'm biased, but I'm also an owner, and it's one of the coolest things in the world that when you get new pinball game day and you just go upstairs and you just download a new game and you've got a whole new gaming experience. It's the only third-party platform anywhere in pinball. That means anybody out there can go and download the SDK, start cranking on their game, get it, ship it, publish it to people, and every P3 owner on the planet can buy your game and download it. And the games are like nothing. They're like 150, $200 or something like that. And you get a whole new gaming experience with these things. I'm going to shout out Birdwatcher, Ian's game. It's awesome. And I'm really hoping Birdwatcher comes to Portal. We'll see. But he developed a game that goes across all platforms. We've got some really great third-party developers that are out there doing this, and I think it's one of the most exciting things to see all these creative ideas that would not have any other way of making it to the pinball market. You can't go to another manufacturer and say, I want you to take this crazy idea I have and make it available for people. We can do that. We've made it available for everybody to do it. And so there's a lot of cool third-party games coming out there, plus all the first-party games that we've been cranking out year after year after year. So I hope if you're seeing this and you're getting interested, come by our booth at TPF, and we'll have just an ungodly amount of P3s there where you can go by and you can sample just basically almost every game we've got on the system there, and check out Portal and play it, and come say hi to us.
Sounds good. Cary, I want to know your thoughts now. Final thoughts.
First of all, obviously, thank you to Scott and Josh for allowing me to come on here and shoot the stuff about this game. I gotta watch my language, but because talking to Jerry about it, I was kind of geeking out, like, oh, is it gonna have this? Is it gonna have that? And he's like, I don't know. I'm just the project manager. You gotta. I was like, so to be able to talk to you guys to get answers and fellow Portal fans is truly a treat. And hearing everything that you're implementing into this game is getting me more excited to actually play it. And for those that are watching this or listening to this, it is the week of Texas Pinball Festival. These will be there to play. And Jerry told me how many he's going to be bringing. and I really want you guys to encourage him to bring more. I know he wants to show off all the other games and what his system can do, but I really do feel like this game in particular is something that needs to be very prominent at Texas Pinball Festival, and having more of them is going to give more access to those without having to wait in line. But I truly love what you've done with the game for what I can see so far, and I'm really looking forward to playing it.
All right, Josh, you get the wrap up.
You know, I'm jealous of Cary because he gets to go play this game. You guys that live in Texas that already got to play this game, I'm jealous of you guys. This is something, like I've said it multiple times in this podcast. It's something special. If you're intimidated by the system itself, and don't think of it as a modular, but you're buying Portal the pinball machine, right? Because you can get this in your home. Yeah, you have the accessibility of everything else, but you don't have to feel obligated to that either. Like looking at just this looks like an amazing experience itself. Don't be afraid to give it a try. Like I said, I'm always about getting your hands on it, and Texas Pinball Festival is a great place to get your hands on it. I think this game is going to be, it is the best showcase of the P3 system, in my opinion, right now. This utilizes the tricks of all the wonderful things it can do. I just can't wait. I can't wait to get my hands on one of these. You guys, like, as soon as I found this out that this was the game, I've been giddy about this. This has been really, really cool because I feel like it's a theme that's geared towards me and to Cary, and it's crazy. It's crazy to see something like this. Like I said, like Scott and I said earlier, if you do want that $1,000 discount, email us here at loserkidpinballpodcast@gmail.com. We'll get you in touch with Jerry so we can get you on the list for a P3, or specifically for Portal.
But that's the, by the way, the discount is for the entire system. So getting the P3
Correct.
and the Portal game.
Or P3 and Princess Bride.
Exactly.
It does have to come with the module.
So you're getting into the game, and so we're just making sure it's not like just getting a module, because that's a crazy discount anyway. But yeah.
All right, guys. If they want to get a hold of you, Multimorphic team, if you want them to get a hold of you, how do you want them to get a hold of you?
You can find out more on multimorphic.com. We'll have everything up there. We're on Facebook if you want to follow Multimorphic there, Instagram. So yeah, I'm on Facebook. Find me, Steven Silver. I don't hide, I don't bite. You can come and say hi. Come see us at the show. Say hi. I think Ian, you're going to be there too, right?
I will be in Texas.
So you get to see Ian talk about birds. But yeah, just that's the main sites. And if you want to follow us, follow the company on Facebook. That's a good idea. We're always pumping out new information about every time there's a new release or anything like that. We'll have a lot of information there.
And then Cary, how do people get a hold of you?
Let's don't make it about me, but you can find me on YouTube, but that's it. But yeah, I'm definitely going to be making content talking about this game as soon as it's revealed. So I'll be doing live. I might even do some streaming of the video game to make people a little bit more knowledgeable about it.
And Cary, plug
him being a humble.
Yeah, how they can watch you and consume your content. Plug that too.
Oh, just on YouTube, youtube.com/Cary Hardy.
Don't make it about him. He's slumming it with us on Loser Kid. This award-winning, like, driving the industry TV or YouTube show, and Cary's like, I'm just here because I'm a nerd for Portal.
Yeah, I was like, I want to talk to these guys.
He's also a pretty good restorer, by the way.
I gotta say, I called Cary because I saw a post he had made, and I'm like, hey Cary, how you doing? And he's like, cut the crap. I was like, what are you talking about, Cary?
I was like, I know you know.
I know. I've talked to Jerry, and he says you guys are doing the interview. I want in on this magic. I was like, well, we love you on our show anyway, Cary. So you're more than welcome to join us. Okay, Scott, if you want people to get a hold of us,
we are Loser Kid Pinball Podcast, and you can find us out on all the socials. Josh is really good at keeping up on that. If you want to get a hold of us, we are loserkidpinballpodcast@gmail.com. Right?
Yep. And at Loser Kid Pinball on all the socials, Facebook, YouTube, all that jazz. So, and if you want our swag, silverballswag.com/loserkid. The baseball jerseys are very comfortable, and same with the hockey jerseys. And so, yeah. And I think that does it for I just feel like I'm missing something, but it's just been such an awesome show. I want to thank everyone for. I mean, it was not easy getting 6 people together at one time across 3 different time zones. So I appreciate you guys coming on, for sharing your time with us. I know you're more enthusiastic than us. We just found out you guys have been dealing with it for over a year, but thanks again for coming on. Give these guys a handshake. Say congratulations if you see them at Texas Pinball Festival.